I'm unsure why I was struggling with today's prompt. I don't know if it's just because I don't think about like what I enjoy reading, like when it comes to genres, but apparently I just don't think about that thing very often. Hello friends, happy Wednesday. So very excited that you're here. It is a new video for Top 5 Wednesday, or in the Top 5 video series, however you want to say it. And I am so very excited that you're here. I always have so much fun with these videos, and today is going to be no exception, talking about some favorites and very, very hyped for that. But in case if you're not familiar with Top 5 Wednesday, in a nutshell, basically each week I answer a prompt using 5 books, but in this case I do manga to reflect the said prompt. And today is favorite genre or genres. If you're having trouble doing just one genre, then you can do more than one. And I am doing more than one because I was like choosing one ultimate favorite genre. I was like, I don't know if I can just do that. But then I was struggling of like, what genres do I typically read? And like I said, I guess I don't think about this manga fits in this X genre. Like I don't typically make that association. So I had to really look at my books and really think about, okay, like what do I like buying when it comes to manga? Some of them stood out. I was like, Laura, why didn't you think about that sooner? That's actually going to be near the end of my picks though. I don't know why, but just how I did it. Though these are in no certain order. Though with all of that said, I feel it would be unfair if I did not mention this for number 1, because I feel like this is probably like the ultimate favorite genre thing that I love reading. And I am going to say for number 1, I'm going to say contemporary high school shoujo manga. And so I did Honey Lemon Soda because I don't know what it is. I know some people are like, well, I don't really care for the contemporary setting. I adore it. I always have, I realized I think a few years ago when I started getting into manga that even before, when I was just mainly reading novels, I really had a soft spot for contemporary novels, but I didn't typically read them because I didn't really have like a realm of influence where they were reading something outside of fantasy, because that was typically all that we read. So when I came over to manga, I was completely shocked when I quickly realized that the manga that I majority of the time am always picking up is the high school contemporary shoujo romance. I don't know what it is. I really, really love it very, very much. I know some people have stated like on Twitter that they're like, I feel like we're just getting the same licenses over and over. And I'm like, I'm okay with this. This does not bother me because it is exactly what I love reading. The more wholesome and fluffy it is, the better it is. And I definitely feel like Honey Lemon Soda does, majority for what I have read of the first 3 volumes, fit that wholesome and fluffy vibes. I feel like Uka, our main girl here, I think I said her name right, that she is growing, she's spreading her wings, and I've really, really enjoyed seeing it. And I feel like that is probably true for a lot of other manga or stories in this genre, that I really love seeing that romance unfold. It's so beautiful, it's so precious, but I also really love seeing these girls that may have insecurities, especially ones that I know I could relate to as a high schooler, you know, if I was and still in high school. But I think of those moments that I had, those insecurities, and how I can relate to that. And so I feel like these stories are really just speaking to a past me, so to speak. I don't know why that is. I've never made that connection until now, but I feel like they're just very beautiful to see unfold when it comes to these stories, and the romances always gets me. I'm just like, I am squealing, kicking my feet, doing all of the things. Really, really enjoy it. So I definitely feel like this had to be the number 1, because I know Sign with the Red Hair was definitely a series, and Library Wars, which neither of them are the contemporary high school romances, influenced me a lot when it came to starting my manga journey. But I really feel like Kimi ni Todoke was the one that's like, this is what I love reading. This is what I want more of. And so here we are today with stories like Honey Lemon Soda that I would highly recommend. So very good. Have a review of volume 1. Definitely always eagerly looking forward to more volumes, and that continues to be the case, as well as if it is a contemporary high school shoujo romance. For number 2, I feel like this is also really true. I didn't think I would be into this genre, but I'm going to say the Villainous otome genre, and I'm going to feature the Villainous stands the heroes, playing the antagonist to support her faves. I love this volume. I've read it a few times. It lives rent-free in my head. I just really, really love the main girl. I can't remember her name, but I love her. I feel like if I was reincarnated as a Villainous, yes, this is how I would be. I absolutely love these characters. Like if I was in this otome game or this novel or whatever, like yes, yes, I'll do it any role you need me to be just so I can be around these characters. Any role you need me to do, not be. Well, I guess it both works both ways. I really wanted to feature Villains Are Destined to Die right here, but I'm like, technically that's a manhwa, but I adore that series so much. Penelope, girl boss slay, absolutely love her. I definitely gushed in my reading wrap up last week. Like, she's amazing. But anyway, talking about this series, I never expected that this would be a genre that I really enjoy, but it's come to the point that anytime, at least I will say 95% of the time, that if there is a new manga that fits this genre, I'm like, I want to try it. I want to see what it's about, because I feel like if even everybody says they all sound the same, yes, this is true, I'm not going to deny that, but they each have their own unique quality that makes it different than the rest. And I love seeing what is this manga in this genre going to give me an offer that is different than its other predecessors. Like, I love finding what it is that makes that series unique in a field or world where all of them have very, very similar premise and they can sound the same, but they're not all the same. If you're a fan of the villainous otome genre, you know what I mean. When you find that gem, and this was definitely one of them, I cannot wait for volume 2. When you find that gem, you're like, yes, this is why I love reading this genre, even if I'm like maybe sort of worried, like, is it not going to be different than the others? It will have something that makes it unique, something that makes it different. And usually I feel like the heroines are very funny, they're very upbeat, and regardless of which path they're trying to do, if they're hitting all the red flags or trying to avoid all the red flags, there's a lot of great humor. And I tend to find that with these kind of manga, I always have a really great time. Obviously, there are exceptions, because the Heretical Last Boss Queen, I did a review of that as well. The anime is phenomenal. You should go watch it or read the manga. That was an exception. That was not a funny villainous manga, and I was very unprepared for that, but I absolutely love that manga. I mean, it's so very good. I think because it's so different from what I typically read with the villainous genre, I appreciated it in a different kind of way, and really hope that we get the reboot of the manga in English at some point. But yes, to the villainous otome genre, I'm here for it. I'm sorry to everybody that's like, this is another genre I'm tired of. I'm not tired of it. I'm really feeling fed by these publishers that keep giving it to us, so I'm sorry. I want more of it. For number 3, this sort of ties in with it, but I do feel it's a little bit different because the villainous otome genre has its own thing. So I wanted to say Izakai, but specifically Shoujo Izakai. So I went with A Reincarnated Witch Spells Doom, which actually really surprised me. It wasn't high on my radar until I saw a friend on Twitter share about how much she enjoyed it. I picked it up, also really enjoyed it, and very excited that my volume 2 should be here, of like the pre-order should be here, I think later this week or early next week. Very much looking forward to it. But I say Shoujo Izakai because I do feel like a lot of the mainstream Izakai, and I'm hesitant to use that word, but I just say like Izakai in general, I feel like there's a lot of fan service, and more often than not, I will stay away from Izakai because I'm just like, I don't care for fan service in my manga. I can handle a very tiny amounts, but usually I feel like it's overwhelming. I don't usually always like how the ladies are dressed, and there may be certain plot points I'm like, I'm just not fond of this. Now, throw in like shoujo or josei izakai. I really struggled with this because I thought of like From Far Away, which is absolutely amazing. This manga is amazing. I don't think I have any up here. I mean, Villains Are Destined to Die, but that falls in the villainous izakai or villainous otome genre. Of course, looking at my manga, I'm like blanking on what are some other examples of like shoujo izakai. Oh, the Savior's Book Cafe, that's another one. I really enjoy, and The Saint's Magic Powers Omnipotent. I have found that I really enjoy these izakai that center around a female heroine. I feel like it hits differently, and I can relate maybe differently to the main character compared to if it was a male. I mean, I don't think like the gender is really an issue. I just feel like if it's a shoujo or josei demographic, that it's just written differently and it feels differently to me, and it really just doesn't have that fan service that I don't really appreciate in a majority of the izakai that we have. Izakai is another genre for sure that where everything sounds really similar, but it definitely has its own unique beats, and I feel like probably out of all the ones I'm featuring today, I feel like the Shoujo Josei Izakai is one that I am not quite as familiar with, and slowly starting to realize how much I like this. I mean, from far away, I feel like it definitely set the bar for me, where it's just very, very good. I could say a lot about From Far Away, and I'm always excited to see people picking it up and like, oh, my library had this, or oh, I bought this digitally. Like, yes, get it, check it out, because there are unique points to that story that I don't typically see in the modern Izakai that we have that's being published and written today. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but there's just really great things about that series, and you should totally check it out. I feel like with the manga that I have read, there's a lot of inspiring and admirable female characters who I have just really looked up to and admire how courageous they are and the choices that they make, especially in this one, because she was a shut-in in her previous life, and so she's taking bolder steps in this world. And I really love the message of how words are powerful, that you shouldn't say things that you don't mean, and you should just be careful of what you say, especially if they could be mean or hateful words. Really, really love that message a lot in this manga. That was definitely one of my favorite parts with this one. The review of The Saint's Magic Powers Omnipotent, which is coming this Friday, very excited. I really loved the main girl, Sei. I mean, she is up there with Shirayuki and favorite heroines. Absolutely admire her. Already thinking about like fan art that I can have with me, her, and Shirayuki. Like, yes. So I really love this genre. It's hard for me to expand on it, but I could definitely say that I am seeing it increasingly in my favorite genres of them. Like, I want to pick that up. I want to try that. For number 4, this is probably like my second ultimate favorite genre. I cannot get enough of that, and that is slice of life manga. And I'm gonna do 2 picks for this one because I'm like, I can't decide. Don't make me choose. And that is Mr. Villain's Day Off, and of course, Play It Cool, guys. I don't know what it is about this genre, but when we have genuinely episodic manga where there's not really an overarching main plot point, I am here for it. And it's even better if the main characters are male, and it's even better if they're really goofy, or they have, like in Mr. Villain's Day Off, that they have this like stigma or these things about them where people assume that because he's a villain that he's automatically a bad guy, and how the series, or at least the first volume, is making it show like maybe he's not quite the villain that he appears to be, kind of thing. Like, oh my goodness, I really, really love that. And Play It Cool, guys. Oh my gosh, I adore this series so much. One of my ultimate favorites. I love it. I love it. I could gush all day about this one and just never get bored. I love the characters so very much. I feel like there's just something really special about these series where you just are invited into these characters' lives, and they just bring so much joy and humor to me. I find when I'm reading Slice of Life that I walk away feeling very happy, all of the warm fuzzies. It's always a really great reading experience, and I know that that's something very important to me personally, where I'm walking away from that manga feeling happy, feeling better, or feeling maybe like with Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. Yes, I walked away happy from that series, but I genuinely felt challenged as a person to change my actions, to think about certain things, and I also really love that. Granted, Slice of Life doesn't tend to do that, and I'm like, that's okay. I'm just here for these goofs. I'm here for the panda shenanigans, and I never tire of it. Just give me these goofy guys, or give me this panda-loving villain. I'm like, I'm here for it. It's great. It's peak fiction. I don't know what it is. I love it. I love it so much, and so Slice of Life manga has definitely been like one of the highlights, the gems in my collection that I really, really love. I reread them often. So if you have any recommendations for series like these, because these two are new favorites. Oh, Play It Cool, guys, has been a favorite. Mr. Villain's Day Off is also a favorite. Please let me know, because I am always on the hunt now for these kind of manga. It doesn't have to be a male hero. I just have found that seems to be the thing with the genre, I guess. Like, oh my goodness, Yen Press, 7 Seas, Kodansha, somebody need to get up on it, and they need to give us the manga of My New Boss is So Goofy. Yes, I'm here for it. I need the anime. I'm like, this fits the genre. This fits what I love. This gives me the warm, happy feels, and that is why I love the genre. And I feel like right underneath the shoujo contemporary high school romance, yes, give me the slice of life, especially since they're all mainly comedies. Like, I'm here for it, and I absolutely love it. For number 5, I sort of struggled on this one. I feel like this hits like a few different genres. So I'm gonna say, I think shoujo historical fantasy, or hold on, shoujo romantic historical fantasy, because I want my romance. And so I'm gonna do The Centric Doctor of the Moonflower Kingdom. I really, really love this series. I definitely don't have many of this genre on my shelf, but I feel like when reading From Far Away, I know it's more izakai, but it's very fantasy based, and this series has more historical fantasy. There's not necessarily any magical powers. I don't know if that word would be if there's no like powers, but they're in another world, has this historical vibe to it. The comedy is gold. Comedy I feel like is like a must for me in almost anything that I read, at least typically, because I loved My Girlfriend's Child. There's no comedy in that, and that series is absolutely amazing. That was one of my favorite reads, I think 2 months ago. Anyway, so I think I'm gonna say historical fantasy, romantic historical fantasy. I don't know what I love about this genre, but I feel like it's very fun to read. I want the contemporary majority of the time, but I'll say sometimes I do like having that fantasy vibe, having something a little bit historical like, and that's not modern day, and just open up a new way of looking at things or a new way of experiencing life through a fictional story. I do find that really enjoyable, and this series is one of my favorites because I really loved how Kyo, I think it's how you say her name, how she is very blunt and very straightforward, and so because of that it creates a lot of interesting situations, and I definitely feel like that's a little bit just unique to this series alone. Though if you like the Apothecary Diaries, chances are you will most likely like this one as well. There's a lot of great humor. These women are absolutely amazing, and I really love just how they're blunt, straightforward. They don't beat around the bush, and they just say things how it is. It's really, really great. So this is another genre I feel like it's hard to me to expand on, but I do feel like I have a soft spot for that. It probably doesn't help that I'm actually reading a romantic historical fantasy right now and really enjoying the fantasy elements a lot. Like, I'm looking forward to hopefully doing a review on this channel soon of it and just talking about it more, hopefully actually in next week's Top 5 Wednesday. I don't know what else I can say, but I did want to feature that because I feel like it is growing in my favorite genres. Though after saying all of that, I feel like I should have done it as an honorable mention, because this one I could talk a lot more about, because that is romantic comedy. Rom-coms, I love them so much. I'm gonna do My Coworker Has a Secret because I absolutely love this. This is a 2-volume series. Have a review as well. If you need a josei rom-com, this series is it. Like I said before, I love when manga make me laugh, and so I naturally gravitate to rom-coms. It really doesn't matter the demographic. Like, I will take shoujo, seinen, any of them. Like, whatever you give me, I will take it as long as it's making me laugh and it has that wholesome fluff and it's just a very wonderful kind of story. I mean, any element can make up a wonderful story, but I definitely feel like rom-coms has a fierce grip on my heart. I almost said my love story, and then I almost said my high school debut, and I was like, what? Or high school debut, and I'm like, what makes these stand out as romantic comedies? Because, you know, obviously there's a crossover because they do take place in high school, but I feel like when I think of those series, I automatically think of, man, that was a really funny series. This is another case. I think the ultimate thing when I'm reading manga that I'm realizing is that I love leaving that manga feeling great. I love being happy, feeling happy, and having a great time throughout the series. Obviously, I don't need to read everything I read doesn't have to be happy, and I leave that series that way, but I naturally go to that series, and I'm very thankful for all the people who really love series like that too when I talk about them on this channel, because I don't know, I feel like life is too short to not be happy, and things can be hard. Like, my youngest is sick with another stomach bug, and she was just sick with a stomach bug like, what, 3 weeks ago? So I feel like when I'm feeling discouraged or I'm feeling down, those manga, like case in point, like My Coworker Has a Secret, when it's a rom-com and I know that I can just dive into these characters' lives and they're gonna make me happy, they're gonna make my mood feel lighter and feel better. I was gonna say that's what manga's all about, but that's not fully true. But I feel like for me and my experience and how I am today, that is what manga is to me. It makes me happy, and it's a wonderful, beautiful thing, and just very grateful for all of these romantic comedies that are coming out, like Discovering, I don't think you can see, yeah, Discovering, like Last Game, My Coworker Has a Secret. Like, these are such fantastic series that I have just really, really enjoyed reading. And those, my friends, wrap up my favorite genres. I feel pretty confident in all of these. I feel like I floundered a little bit on the fantasy one, but I'm hoping to fix that. And if you have any recommendations for historical romantic fantasy that you would suggest, please let me know down below. I would love to hear them. Same as with these slice of life manga that I cannot get enough of. It is so absolutely amazing. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!